Hello, this is Amber Willenberg from the U of L Libraries, and in this video, we're going to talk about developing a search strategy and using that search strategy to find academic sources for the Tell Me a Story multimodal assignment. This assignment requires you to find 2 academic sources to supplement 3 news stories on a topic of your choosing. Before we begin strategizing and searching for academic sources, let's first talk about how they are different than news sources. Let's take a look at this article, Lying, Liars, and Lies, Incivility in 2016 Presidential Candidate and Campaign Tweets During the Invisible Primary. This is a scholarly source, but how do we know this? First of all, we can read the abstract to see that the current study investigates the extent to which incivility via lying accusations was present in major party candidate and campaign expressions on Twitter, and that the authors collected tweets from party candidate and campaign Twitter feeds to conduct their investigation. In other words, the purpose of this article is to present research. This is a key feature of academic articles. They add new knowledge to an ongoing scholarly conversation. In this case, a larger conversation about social media and political campaigning through research. Next, we can see that the authors work at the University of Arizona and California Polytechnic State University. Academic articles are most often written by professional scholars associated with a college or university. You can see that this article was published in American Behavioral Scientist. If we Google this title, we can easily find out that this is a peer-reviewed journal, meaning articles published in the journal undergo a formal review process involving other scholars reading and responding to the work. Finally, if we scroll to the end of this article, we'll find an extensive bibliography with pages of citations. Academic articles are written as part of a larger scholarly conversation on a topic, and the bibliography shows how the authors have situated themselves within that conversation. By citing peer-reviewed sources like this in your own research, you're participating in the scholarly conversation as well. Compare this article to another article we'll take a look at. Facebook says it won't back down from allowing lies in political ads. This is a news source. News sources are usually much shorter than scholarly articles and are written for the general public. The scholarly source we just looked at was written by researchers for researchers. News sources like this are often found via Google, but you can also find newspaper articles through the library. News sources do not contain pages of citations, although they will often cite some sources throughout. While scholarly sources are written by professional scholars, news sources are written by journalists. When you're looking at news sources, especially those you find on Google, you always need to assess the credibility of the information. One quick trick for assessing popular sources like this is to simply open up a new browser tab and search for information about the source. Don't just trust what a source tells you about itself on its own page. Even on reputable news sites like the New York Times, you need to look out for labels like editorial, opinion, and sponsored content. These types of articles are commentary and advertisements, not true news stories. One last difference to keep in mind is that news stories are written very quickly, sometimes the same day or even in the same hour that an event takes place. On the other hand, academic articles take a long time to get published because of the rigorous peer review process they go through. If you are researching a very recent news event, like the current inequities in who is receiving the COVID vaccine, you might not find many academic sources on that topic because they haven't been published yet. You might have to search more broadly for academic sources that talk about inequity in health services in the United States, for example. Now that we have an understanding of what academic sources are and how they differ from news sources, we can talk about finding them. The library is the best place to find academic sources. These types of sources are expensive, and your tuition dollars help pay for the library to provide access to them. While you might be able to find some academic sources on Google, you'll often run into a paywall and not be able to read the whole article for free. Another issue with searching for peer-reviewed sources on Google is that you'll probably get millions of results for your search and have a hard time narrowing those results down to high-quality academic sources. In library databases, your searches will return fewer results, but the results have been curated by humans who decided that these sources are useful for academic research. However, because library databases are more specialized, it's helpful to develop a strategy before we begin searching. Let's say that we've decided to research the issue of lying on social media during political campaigns for the Tell Me a Story assignment. If we were using Google to do our research, we could simply search for "How does lying on social media affect political campaigns?" to get results. In library databases, though, we'll search using keywords, the most important words from our research question. In this case, lying, social media, and political campaigns are the most important words from our question. We don't just want to stop there, though. It can be helpful to think about ways of broadening and narrowing this question with our keywords. We could add specific types of social media to our list of keywords, like Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. We could also think of different ways to search for political campaigns, like elections or presidential campaigns, or even include broader terms like politics. For lying, we might write down lies, truth, and misinformation. Brainstorm as many broader and narrower keywords as you can. Having more keywords gives you more options for your search, so you don't get overwhelmed or stuck when you start searching. Now that we have a list of keywords to help us search in library databases, we need to think about subject areas. The library's resources are organized around academic subject areas, so you need to think about what subject areas might be relevant to your research topic. What kinds of researchers are writing about lying on social media and political campaigns? We might think of communications, political science, and sociology and add these to our list. Once you've developed your search strategy, you can begin using that strategy to find sources through the library. Let's get started on the library homepage, library.louisville.edu. Since you might be off campus right now, one helpful thing you can do right away on this page is go to Accounts at the top right and click Off-Campus Login. Enter your ULink ID and password here so that you don't have to log in later when you start finding articles. The best place to get started finding academic articles is our subject guides on the left side of the page under Quick Tools. These subject guides divide up library databases by subject area, making it easier for you to find the most relevant resources for your research topic. Remember, one of the subject areas I identified for my research question on lying on social media and political campaigns was communications. So we can click the Communication Studies subject guide and find a handful of the very best databases where we can search for sources in the field of communications. A database is simply a searchable collection of thousands of sources, most of them academic articles. Since you are all researching a wide variety of topics, I'm going to go to the Any Topic guide and click on the first recommended database listed here, EBSCO Academic Search Complete. EBSCO Academic is a multidisciplinary database that covers a wide variety of subject areas. Most of you will be able to find academic sources for your assignment in this database, but feel free to search in subject-specific databases as well. In EBSCO Academic, one of the first things you'll notice is that there are multiple search boxes at the top of the page. This is why we developed our search strategy with a list of keywords. We'll enter one keyword per box, so let's try some searches. First, we'll put lies in the first box, social media in the second, and political campaigns in the third. This search gave us just 4 results. This doesn't mean that there's no research on our topic. It just means we need to try a new search. Remember, we've already brainstormed several keywords, so we can easily broaden our search to get more results. One way to do this is to change lies to lies or misinformation. This tells the database that we'll take results that talk about lies on social media in political campaigns or misinformation on social media in political campaigns. We now have 19 results. While we need to look through the results to see if they appear to be what we're looking for, this is much better than the 4 results we had before. Just keep in mind that you'll probably have to try out several searches with different combinations of your keywords to get the most relevant results. On the left side of the screen, you can see that our results include academic journal articles, as well as newspaper and magazine articles. If you already have your news stories and you just want to find academic sources, you can check the box next to academic journals to get rid of other source types from your list of results. At this point, you can begin looking through the articles to find sources that seem relevant to your research question. I'm going to go ahead and click on this article, Scientific and Subversive, the Two Faces of the Fourth Era of Political Campaigning. One thing to notice is the abstract. Always read the abstract because it will give you a quick overview of the whole article, helping you determine if it's useful for your research before you read the whole thing. Another helpful tool here is the Cite button. Click this to get the MLA citation for the article, which you can copy and paste for your citations. Just be sure to check it over and make sure everything is correct. If you decide you want to get back to this article later, you can use the email tool on the right side of the screen to send yourself a link back to this page. You can also look for a PDF button on the left side of the screen and save the PDF directly to your computer. If there is no PDF, you can click on Find It at U of L to see if we own the article or if you need to request a copy of it. When you click Find It, you'll either see a View Full Text link, which will take you to the article, or a button that says Request Item through Interlibrary Loan. If you see the Request button, that just means we don't own the article, but we will request a copy for you from another school. So just click that button and fill out the form to place a request, and we'll send you the PDF of the article, usually within a few days. If you ever have any questions while conducting research, librarians are here to help. You can chat with a librarian Monday through Friday from 9 to 4 right from the library homepage, or click Ask a Librarian to find more ways to get in contact with us. You can even schedule a virtual one-on-one research appointment with a librarian for in-depth research help. Thanks!